There we go. Okay. This is social psychology class. I am Bruce Bradway. Denise knows me. I guess that's it, huh? Okay. For the rest of you, I am Dr. Bradway. They recently, and they actually did this, they recently named me an associate professor, so I have a professorship here. I teach psychology. I teach all the, well, I don't teach all the psychology classes. I teach all the upper level psychology classes. It's still too small. Anyway, so this is social psychology class. It's a really fun class. For me, I guess that doesn't make it fun for you. It certainly makes it fun for me. A couple things that I want you to do this semester. First of all, there's a paper. Don't forget about the paper. It's due in April. Beginning of April, if you can get it in by then. I'm not very good with time. Sometimes it takes me a couple weeks to grade things. So since I'm backwards, since I'm not always caught up, since don't always know, oh, you got two chairs, okay. I don't have any, there's no time limits. I tell you that I want this by a select date, but if you're late, don't worry about it. Oh, I didn't even sign that. Anyway, okay. So what am I telling you? I'm telling you, get it in by the end of the semester is what I'm telling you. But I wouldn't put it off too long. I've had people that put it off. What do they do with my sheet? Oh, there it is. Okay. I've had people that didn't do it. No. Anyway, okay, so what do you have to do to pass this class? There's a paper due. That's in April. There are class discussions every week. What if I don't do it on time? Don't worry about it, just get her done eventually. I'll grade it whenever you turn it in. Okay? All right. I know on the syllabus it says that I'll take 2 points off for every day it's late, but I just did that for the provost. I think I'm supposed to teach you time management. But as far as I'm concerned, I'll let Christine teach you time management. Or who else? Don Robinson. No, he doesn't. He can't tell time either. Who else is out there that teaches? That's really, Margaret. Can't remember Margaret's last name. The dog lady. Mare. Yeah, that's it, Margaret Mare. She went running through campus the other day. I'm walking down the sidewalk and she comes running through campus. She says, "You want to help me catch a dog?" No thanks, Margaret. I'm going to a meeting. I really was. Okay, so what else do we have? One of the things I'd like you to do is to log into the social psychology website and do research. Now, sometimes if you pick the wrong one, it's going to take you a while, okay? But if you pick the right one, it'll only take you 20 or 30 minutes. Okay, let me show you how to get there. Let me see if I can show you how to get there. I have it here. Let me see if I can get on the internet. There, let's see. It's social psychology. Psychology.org. I think that's it. Wait a second. It's in your syllabus. Oh, there it is. .org/experiments .htm number Pother. Ooh, it's working. No, it's not. They just changed all this stuff. The IT people did. So now it's really hard to log on. That's close. All right, let me see if this works. Oh, is that right? Okay. Right. This is my college.edu. That's still not gonna work. No, don't save it. I can't get on there anyway. But if you click on those, and there's a bunch of them. And I want you to answer a couple questions. It's all on the website. And I actually put this website up last night, so it's ready to go. If you've got a computer, you can go there. What was I going to say? Yeah, so just click on one of those guys, and like I said, sometimes it'll take you a long time. They ask you some really strange questions. I did one last night called Sexuality and Disgust from Bishkent University. Anyway, it was in Turkmenistan. I don't know if you know anything about Turkmen or not, but anyway, it was all about sex and disgust. It was really kind of fascinating because they asked you about what if you had a cockroach running across the floor? How disgusted would you be? What if you stepped in dog poop? And it said poop, P-O-O-P, so, and I did that one. And then they ask you about all kinds of interesting, are you married? What if a stranger rubbed on your thigh in the elevator? Really? Okay. How disgusted would you be? And I'm thinking, this is an apples and oranges kind of thing. It doesn't, anyway. I'm not exactly sure what they were after. Really kind of an interesting one. It took me about 20 or 30 minutes. You guys can try it if you want. It was really kind of fun. Or not. But that's what social psychology is all about. Asking you all these strange questions, putting two things together, trying to figure one thing out from another. It's really kind of fascinating. Anyway. So did I talk about everything that's going to get you a grade? There's 3 tests. One after the first 4 chapters, one after the second 4 chapters. Emery, you're back. I don't think I have you on my list.
I could be at the wrong place. I was at the wrong place a little while ago.
Is that why? Social psych?
Jeez, I don't know. I left my schedule at home.
Well, just sit down. What the hell? Okay. Well,
if I get up and leave,
Yeah,
I realize I'm in the wrong
That's
classroom again.
if I offend you, I'm going to try to offend you all class long. Emery and I are old buddies. So.
I mean, it's going to be an interesting class.
We've both been disgusted in the same way, so that ought to be interesting. Anyway, so there's social psychology research, really kind of fascinating. It's a fascinating website. Click on, you like Brits, go ahead and click on the Brits. The United States, some of it's from the United States, it's from all around the world. So some of this research is really quite interesting. It's really kind of fascinating. So I give you the opportunity to do this research. You'll get points for it, okay? Not a whole lot of points, but I want you to try it out and see what research is all about. Psychology is research, and we're going to talk about that today, if I can ever get started. Does anybody have any questions about how you pass this class? Just get everything done. Eventually, you'll be okay. Some people get it done early, like Denise. My goodness. She's my favorite student because I can go home when I get all my grades done. And so if you, yes sir.
These chapters right here, the due date, are they like online?
Are the chapters online? No, I'm gonna be talking about all the chapters. I'll be covering it.
Like, how are your assignments going to be issued out? Are they
It's all on
paper?
Blackboard.
Blackboard?
Yeah.
It's all on Blackboard. Thank you,
Little
Denise.
Blackboard, and then
So it is online.
Yeah. Okay, it's online. It's a hybrid class. I will lecture, but, and you really don't have to do the discussion question until I finish the chapter. You know, it's, all of this stuff is kind of flexible. And like I said, I can't tell time, so you're okay.
And then do you want us to email the research paper? or-
Research paper, yeah, go ahead and email it unless I can remember how to do a Dropbox. I did that one semester, a couple of years, no, anyway, I did. You weren't around when it happened, but, yeah.
Does that include the tests? They're online?
The tests are online too, but none of them are up yet. I have to type them all in. So, yeah, the tests are online. We need to cover 4 chapters. How long was it going to take me to cover 4 chapters? It all depends on how much Emery talks.
It's usually
Or
a
how many
time.
stories.
You do your PowerPoint and then you just like look over it or you can listen and then right after chapter 4, there's usually a test.
Yeah,
And then, yeah.
there's 3 tests. Okay. Yeah, I'll be doing the PowerPoints. PowerPoints are also online, so you can listen to me or not listen to me. Usually I tell too many stories, and usually that's either Emery's fault or Denise's fault. It's not my fault, certainly not my fault. Okay, and the other thing that I need to tell you, obviously I'm not Navajo, I'm not from here. I do have a really nice bolo tie today. Yeah, I bought it just like yesterday, okay, so despite the fact that it's really nice, I'm not really from here. I don't want to fool you thinking, oh, he's just another Navajo guy. I'm not. I'm from Indiana. I've got my biography here. Do you want me to do my biography?
So you're not Indian, you're Indianian.
Indiana. See, yeah, I'm a Hoosier. Now the funny thing about Indiana, well, it's not that funny, I guess. But they kicked all the Indians out like in 1830. Had a big battle and they kicked everybody out. There used to be like 5 or 6 tribes. Then they moved them all to Missouri and Oklahoma. Anyway, so Indiana, which sounds like it's the land of the Indians, in reality is the land of the white guy because there ain't no Indians left there. Well, there's some, but not very many. Okay, so let me go ahead and do this. Oh, look at that guy typing. He types just like I do. Okay, yeah, that's, wait a minute, I don't have polished fingernails. Anyway, I type really slow, so that's something else you need to know about me. I was born before 1993. The internet started in 1993. I was born in 1949. So I graduated from high school in 1967, graduated from college 1971. So I'm of that age group. As you can see, they didn't start the internet until 1993. Did they have computers? Sure. They've had computers since the 1930s, but they were huge. They were the size of rooms, you know, that's how big they were. But I still type with 2 fingers. When I should have taken typing class, I took Latin instead. I know.
Did it help in a way?
Yeah, it helped me with my English. As strange as that may seem. This is where I'm from. I'm from Muncie, Indiana. There's Chicago up there. Cincinnati's down here. Columbus, Ohio, Springfield. Anyway, that's Indiana, and that's where I'm from. I know, this is, this runs through my hometown, Daleville. It's I-69, which sounds weird, but that's the way it is. Anyway, that's where I'm from. I'm the 4th of 6 children, so there were 6 kids in my family. I was the second boy out of 4. I should have brought the picture. I got a picture of all my brothers and I in uniform because we were all in the military at the same time during Vietnam. My dad was in the military, so all 5 of us are standing there in our uniforms. Of course, my dad's a colonel, and I think I had 1 stripe or something. I had 1 brother that had just gone through basic training. Anyway, so we're all Vietnam vets, which is kind of fun. Except my dad. My dad didn't go. He went to Korea and he went to World War II. He didn't go anywhere else. My dad was a soldier and he was a banker. I don't know what that tells you. My mom was a registered nurse. This is when women didn't work. Women rarely worked. This is back in the 50s and 60s. Most women stayed home and took care of their babies. And she had 6 of them. She liked kids because she needed somebody to play with. She played baseball and she did all kinds of stuff. She'd race us. It's only 4'8", my mother. That's why I'm so short. I take after my dad. My dad's 5'7". Anyway, Indiana's just another one of those states, the other side of the Mississippi River. Here's the Mississippi River running, well, it starts up in Minnesota. Where's the Mississippi? Oh, it's over here. Yeah, that's the Mississippi River right there. As you can see, again, it's just on the other side of the Mississippi River. I've lived a lot of different places. People in Indiana, of course, are called Hoosiers, and I'm a Hoosier as well, not an Indianian, as Emery said. I had my DNA checked, and I discovered that my ancestors came from 3 different places. They came from England, Western Europe, and Ireland, which makes me about as white as you can get. I have people from ancestors from Germany, from Belgium, from France, and from Ireland and England. This is England, of course, so I'm pretty damn white. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know. I guess my ancestors, and including me, all my wives have looked like me, so, well, not really like me. Not as ugly as I am, but they all have brown hair and pasty faces. I know, it's really kind of tragic. You would have thought somebody would have picked up a little bit of exotic look. But no, none of us. We're all just about as white as you can get, which is not that funny. My first wife claimed that she was Indian. She claimed she was Chickasaw. Turned out she was Italian. My son had his DNA checked. It turned out she was Italian. It's too funny. She used to tell us, I had a friend one time, he knew that we wanted a St. Bernard, so he told us that this puppy was a St. Bernard puppy. And he kind of looked like a St. Bernard, kind of small. He was like 100, he grew up to be about 45 pounds. He wasn't a St. Bernard. He lied to us, and we were gullible enough to think that he was going to grow up to be a St. Bernard. Yeah. That's the way I was. I married my wife. She claimed she was American Indian. My kids, of course, thought that they could get scholarships. You can get scholarships if you're an American Indian. But they could never prove it, and then my son had his DNA checked.
Or you can get a job at Dartmouth.
There you go, you can get a job at Dartmouth. Or you can claim your people come from Oklahoma. Well, actually, Elizabeth Warren's people do come from Oklahoma. And she does have some Indian in her, but not a whole lot. I'd have...
There's one in 2064.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's like 15 generations ago. Isn't it? 10 generations ago. Most of my ancestors and the ones that we claimed, of course, and you can claim whatever ancestors you want. Some of them are good ones, some of them are bad ones. We came over here about 300, 400 years ago. We settled in New Jersey and in Massachusetts. I have relatives that were on the Mayflower. Not that that means anything. If you know anything about the Mayflower, there were 3 groups of people on the Mayflower. The sailors, the saints, and the sinners. The saints were the pilgrims. Those were the guys that people talk about. But the sinners were the guys that weren't pilgrims. They were called the sinners by the pilgrims, who weren't really called the pilgrims. They were really called the saints. Anyway, one of my relatives was a sinner and one was a saint. The female was the saint. Anyway, and the rest of my family were Quakers. They settled in New Jersey, which was kind of interesting. Now, the interesting thing about Quakers, I guess, does anybody know anything about Quakers, the Friends?
Amish, aren't they kind
Farmers?
of similar?
They're mostly farmers.
Isolated?
I'm sorry?
They're isolated?
They isolate themselves. No, well, they live in communities, Quaker communities. They are pacifists, so they don't fight. So if you attack them, they won't fight back, which is kind of interesting. But they were also at the spear point of the abolition movement, getting rid of slavery in the United States, which was kind of interesting. And my family did that. That's one of the reasons why they moved west. They kept getting into trouble, so they moved west. And they were part of the Underground Railroad, which is kind of interesting. And then during the Civil War, they just threw it. They discarded their Quakerism, and they fought in the war against slavery, which was, I thought, was kind of cool. Anyway, so they were Quakers until the Civil War, and then they discarded that idea. And we ended up in Indiana. So almost all my relatives, I live farther west than anybody of my family, and I live farther west than anybody in my family has ever lived. So if you want to find somebody to blame for all the shit that's happened to you guys, it ain't us. Okay? We were way back east. That's one way to look at it. The other thing is I have two presidents in my ancestry, and they were both. One of them was John Quincy Adams. The other was John Adams, who had a fairly liberal Indian policy. But you can, if you want to blame somebody, go ahead and blame me, I guess. But we've never been west of the Mississippi River. I'm the first Bradway to live west of the Mississippi River, and this is the Mississippi River, of course. And so I'm the first one to live over here. Two presidents, and the funny thing about the presidents, guess how tall they were? 5'7". I know, I'm 5'7". 5'7". I have brothers that look like that. Who've lost their hair. I've got a brother who lives in South Carolina, and he looks like this, so which is kind of funny. I don't know how close we are to the Adams brothers, boys. Actually, one's the son of the other. While I was growing up, just like you guys, I felt like this is the only place in the world. Indiana was the only place in the world. I went to a college in Indiana, loved Indiana, still do to some extent. I don't live there, I wouldn't live there, it's too crowded. But I thought it was the only place in the world. Then I joined the Air Force. And of course the Air Force sends you everywhere, anywhere. And of course first place I went was San Antonio, which was basic training. Then I went to further training in Wichita Falls, Texas. So my first two assignments were in Texas. In the Air Force, I trained to be I trained in medicine. I was a laboratory technician, medical laboratory technician. Second part of my training occurred in Dayton, Ohio, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. There you go. Anyway, I'm going to tell you everywhere. My first wife was happy with Dayton because we were close enough, about 70 miles away from my hometown, that she could go visit her mother from time to time. But then we moved to Lubbock, Texas, and she didn't like Reese Air Force Base. I don't know, has anybody ever been over there? Comanche country? You know anything about Lubbock? It's like in the middle of nowhere. Amarillo is like 120 miles north. And then Lubbock is like the only town on the Llano Estacado. It's crazy. Anyway, Lubbock. Texas Tech is in Lubbock. Reese Air Force Base was there. And I was there for 7 years. And during that time, she divorced me. And the reason she divorced me is because she wanted to move back home. She wanted to move back home. Well, by this time, we had 2 kids. And she left them with me. Which doesn't sound right. Anyway, she left them with me. And I was in Lubbock for 7 years. And after that, eventually I got married. My wife was miserable, she left me, and that wasn't all that was sad because she was unhappy making everyone else miserable. The good thing is that she left me with the kids and I was in Lubbock. I already told you about that. Okay. Jeez, I already told you. After one failed attempt to find a new mother, it lasted for 5 months. I was married for 5 months. I finally found someone who actually liked my kids and could tolerate me, and that's my current wife. We've been married for actually 40 years. We've been married for 40 years. This year, we will have been married for 40 years. And as you can see, anybody will dress up like a rodeo clown has to be a keeper, right? Anyway, that's my current wife. Oh, there she is. There she is without makeup on. That finally took me out of Lubbock to Ramstein, West Germany. Germany at the time was split into the Communist East, Germany run by the Soviets, and West run by us. So we were in Germany for 3 years. That's my wife, my current wife, who is going to come and visit in a couple of weeks. I'm so excited. I have to pick her up in Albuquerque. You know, Albuquerque's closer than Phoenix. Isn't that crazy? So if I want to fly someplace, I have to go to Albuquerque.
It's cheaper to fly out of Phoenix.
I'm sorry?
It's cheaper to fly out of Phoenix.
It is. It's a hub. Phoenix is a hub, so yeah, you have to fly from Albuquerque to Phoenix sometimes, or to Denver to wherever, Dallas, sometimes Atlanta. We were stationed in Germany for 3 years. Terrorists at the time were communists, not Muslims. So we were combating the communists. Those are the guys that messed with our election in 2016, and they tried in 2018. Same guys, the Russians. Iran fell to the radical Islamists, and the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. This is all while I was in Germany. Ramstein was attacked by communist terrorists. They blew up USAFE headquarters, and I was the first medic on the scene. As you can see, a lot of busted up cars. Luckily, there wasn't anybody there. There were like 3 people in the building at the time. I got in trouble for going in. What happened was we were having an exercise, and they figured, well, we'll catch everybody in the headquarters building. Well, what happens during exercises? All the guys that aren't at headquarters had to work. We had to start work at like 5 o'clock in the morning. But everybody in headquarters, they took the day off. So there was nobody. There were 3 people in the building. Anyway, they blew up the headquarters. And there were only 3 people there, so only 3 people got hurt. But I got in trouble because I wasn't there when it exploded. I was just coming onto base, and I drove past there, and I saw all the smoke, and I saw the busted up cars and whatnot, and all the glasses busted out of the dental clinic across the street. So I stopped, and I went inside. I saw there was a guy in the entranceway, and he was bleeding, and I stopped the bleeding, of course. And then the SPs showed up. Does this sound right, Emery? The SPs showed up, and I got in trouble because they hadn't cleared the building yet. So I saved the guy's life, but the SPs didn't give me clearance to go into the building, so I got in trouble. As stupid as that may seem. Anyway, he didn't die. I know. At least I saved his life. But I got in trouble. That's the way the military works sometimes. You don't do things the right way. Well, geez, like I'd been trained to do that kind of stuff. When we came back to the United States, we landed at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. That's where I processed out of the service, but my wife stayed in the service. We raised our kids in Nebraska with a year in California. So my kids are Nebraskans. My daughter has a degree she has 2 degrees, one from Nebraska Wesleyan in Lincoln, and the other one is from UNL, from University of Nebraska Lincoln. So, and my son, of course, went to college there. He's so pretty that he thought he could be an actor and a model. So he went to college for a year. He was a sprinter. He was really good. He's actually faster than I was. Anyway. If he had kept running, he probably would have set all kinds of interesting records. He broke he was on the mile relay team that broke the national record for the NAIA. Yeah, that's it, NAIA. Anyway, they held it for like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. I know, it's exciting. We were stationed at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. We lived in Choctaw, which is right here, right next to Oklahoma City. We lived in Choctaw. And I worked in Chandler. Chandler, if you know anything about Chandler, it's right next to the Sac and Fox tribal lands in Oklahoma. We used to bike all over Oklahoma. Ran into a lot of really fun people in Oklahoma. We went to Misawa, Japan. Misawa's way up here. Anyway, we were in Japan for about 6-8 months. We were in Columbus, Mississippi. Does anybody know who's in Mississippi? What tribes are in Mississippi?
Choctaw.
Choctaw, yeah. They're the second largest of the employers in Mississippi. We used to go down there. We didn't go to the casino, which pissed people off because they wanted our money. We used to go down to the Choctaw Reservation all the time. They were the only ones that stayed. Everybody else got kicked out. We were in Northridge, California, right after the earthquake in Northridge, the famous Northridge earthquake. We were in Oxon Hills, Maryland, which is right outside of Washington, D.C. Oxon Hills is right over here. Interesting thing about Oxon Hills, it used to be a plantation. And what do you think they did on? What do you think they grew on that plantation?
Cotton.
Cotton? Why not? Why not? Why not cotton? No, the ground's too crappy.
Orchards.
I'm sorry?
Orchards.
You mean like peaches and apples?
Something off a tree.
Something off of a tree? Sounds like a good idea. No, I didn't.
Tobacco?
No. People.
But
It was a breeding farm for slaves. Not horrible. Oxon Hills, Maryland. I know. My God, I lived there. The interesting thing is it's a black community.
is that why you had many wives?
I'm sorry?
No.
And they had breeding sheds. Oh, it was horrible. It was just ridiculous what they did. One of our presidents owned a farm where they bred slaves. And that's how he survived. His farm was pretty bad. It was up on top of a hill. Thomas Jefferson raised slaves and he sold them. And that's how he was able to keep the farm afloat, as odd as that may seem. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Back to Shepherd Air Force Base. That's where my wife retired after 24 years in the service. She retired as an 06. I got out of the service as an E6, but she was an 06. So we're both sixes. I don't know if that means anything. I was lucky enough to land a job at Fort Belknap College in Harlem, Montana, where I was the head of the Psychology and Human Service Department for 10 years. That's me. So I will talk a lot, and Denise complains about this all the time. I will talk a lot about the people up north. And when I talk about the people up north, I ain't talking about the white people up north. I'm talking about the Gros Ventre and the Assiniboine, or the Ani and the Nakota. Same group, different way of talking about them. It's not Fort Belknap College anymore, it's Ani Nakota College. They named it after the tribes rather than the reservation. The reservation's Fort Belknap. Does anybody know anything about Montana? Anybody ever been there? Nothing? Fort Peck, Blackfeet, Northern Cheyenne, Crow, Chippewa Cree. These are all reservations. Oh, there I am. At Fort Belknap College. There you go. I forgot I put this picture in there. I'm right in the middle.
Oh.
I still have that vest, by the way. Look how happy I am. My goodness. Funny people. This guy absconded with like $10,000 from the college. He stole $10,000 from the poorest Indians in the United States. Isn't that shitty?
You're standing by him?
Well, he hadn't done it yet.
Oh.
He was still there.
What's his name?
I can't remember his name. I can't remember. Thank God. I could look it up, I guess. Almost all these guys are either Gros Ventre or Assiniboine, or a mixture of both, almost all of them. There's my buddy John R. We used to run together. He was like 13 years older than me. He used to kick my butt every time we ran. Damn it. Let's see, who else is in there? There's the president of the college. She's still the president. And there's her son back in the back. Really fun. Okay. Anyway, that's what Indians look like up north. Yeah, this is a white. Well, you can pick out the white people. There's a white. There's a white. She's a white. She's
Pepper
white.
two up.
And I'm right in the middle of all my white hair. Yeah, here's the pisser. I look how much white hair I have. Look at John R. He's 13 years older than me. His hair is still black.
How many years ago
That was 2007, 2006.
I was like in 6th grade.
You were in the 6th grade. So was I. Then I went to Ashford University in Clinton, Iowa. I was there for 5 years. And of course now I'm here. That's the building at Ashford. Anyway, I had a good time at Ashford, and I've been having a good time here. So there you go. That's me. If you ever were wondering who I was. I didn't mention any of the other places that I was. Any of the places I got shot at. Actually, I got shot at in Germany. I didn't mention Vietnam or Greece or I was on Cyprus for a couple of weeks. Places I was shot at. I didn't mention any of that. Anyway, I've been shot at a lot. Evidently, I piss people off a lot. I haven't been shot at here yet, so I guess I'm in good shape. I think I'm in good shape. Okay, any questions about anything? Not me, of course. No, you can ask a question about me.
So how long have you been working at this institution?
3 years.
How'd you find out about this place?
This is the oldest tribal college in the country. So if you work at another tribal college, they talk about Dene College all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. If you're 1968, they talk about 1968. As you saw, well, I don't know. Here, let me show you.
Established in 1993.
What was 1983?
1993.
Well, 93
On
was.
that one.
They said, oh, that's when the college was established. So it's been there since 1993. You guys have what, 300,000 people on the reservation? Well, people that are Navajo, is that correct? About 300,000 in your tribe? They have like 2,750. It's a much smaller tribe. They were isolated. You guys ran into the Spanish, and the Spanish kind of inoculated you guys against diseases, which wasn't a bad thing. The northern tribes, like the Blackfeet and the Sioux, Northern Cheyenne, Salish Kootenai, all those guys, they didn't come in contact with white people until the late 1700s, early 1800s. So they were devastated by smallpox and measles and all kinds of horrible things. Anyway, so
So what do you think about Dene College after working here for 3 years?
I like it. I'm having a good time. I'm old and I may retire soon, but it doesn't have anything to do with you guys aren't chasing me out. That's for sure. I like my students. It's everybody else I can't. The administration. I got a colleague that just keeps picking on me. I haven't figured that one out yet. I'm a nice guy. So the other thing that I need to tell you, if I offend you, if I say anything offensive, please tell me so that I can change. A lot of times I talk about taboo subjects. Unfortunately, I teach all the classes that are potentially offensive. I was on the powwow committee. As you can see, they gave me this jacket. Fort Belknap Veterans Powwow. I was on the Veterans Committee. You know how you get one of these damn things? 4 years it took me to get that coat. What a mess. You know what the biggest problem was? The guy running the thing, and I was never the guy running the thing, but the guy running the thing stealing all the money for the powwow. Oh, it happened twice. Anyway. I have no idea how much that coat costs. But we all got one, so I don't know if that means anything. Anyway, no, I like it here, I have a good time. That's me. And I do have a PhD, I am a doctor, I'm also an associate professor, so. I know, I'm real excited, they just named me associate professor on the 8th of January, so.
What does that mean, though?
Could mean money. It doesn't, but it could. Anyway, okay. As I tell all my students, I'm just here for a good time, okay? So I'm here to laugh, okay? So, and I may say some things that I probably shouldn't say. I swear probably a lot more than I need to. I think I said shitty twice at least. I'll probably say damn it a couple times. I will not use the F word, probably. It's not in my vocabulary. Not since I got out of the service, anyway. I was talking to my wife on the phone. It's part of her vocabulary, by the way. Okay. She was in twice as long as I was. I was only in for 12 years. She was in for 24. So it's more part of her. Even though she's an officer, you wouldn't think that would be the way it is. Anyway.
So you guys were fraternizing?
Yeah, my wife and I got married. She was an officer and I was enlisted, and that's against the law. Literally, it's Article 37, UCMJ. So it's against the law. I broke federal law in order to marry his wife. Yeah. Isn't that cute? Oh, we almost got arrested and thrown in jail.
It's love right there.
Yeah, I know, that's pure, that has to be love. Well, you saw her, she was cute. And sometimes she likes me, so. Well, she's coming to visit me, she must at least like me a little bit. You know, she's flying all the way from Iowa. I live in Lost Nation, Iowa, which is over on the Mississippi side of Iowa. Iowa is bordered by Missouri on the west and the Mississippi River on the east. So I've lived on both sides, actually. I lived on the Missouri River when I lived in Nebraska. Okay. Anyway, that's me. Like I said, I like to have a good time. I like to laugh. But I have to tell you that I've been divorced twice, and both of my wives said I was the most boring person they'd ever met. Now, would you marry somebody that was the most boring person you've ever met? Think about it. It's their fault, not mine. I am pretty damn boring, though. Anyway, okay, let me tell you a story other than my own. Once upon a time, there was a young lady who was treated very badly by her evil stepmother. Stop me if you heard this story. She had two evil stepsisters, but we won't even talk about them. She wasn't allowed to wear makeup or go to any of the local parties. This is what she looked like. One day after she was once again disappointed about a ball, her fairy godmother came to her and dolled her up for the party. So this is what she looked like before. Are you ready for the after? That's what she looked like afterwards. She went to the ball and no one in her family recognized her because she had makeup on. The prince saw her and fell immediately in love with her because she was so attractive. But she had to leave the party early before all of the magic wore off. Her hair, makeup, clothes, and transportation disappeared. But she left behind a glass slipper that the prince found. Are you getting excited yet? Guess what happens next? Guess what happens? The prince went around the land looking for someone to fit the slipper. He found 3 women who had the same size foot, but he didn't recognize any of them as the woman that he danced with at the ball. When he found the young lady in her house, she cowered and seemed meek. Certainly not the self-assured woman from the ball. Guess what happens next? So which woman would you choose? Plain Jane? Miss Exotica? Eastern European princess? Which would you pick? Which one do you think the prince should have married?
It's Exotica.
Exotica? You picking the Lady in the Moon? Me too. That's the one I picked. I certainly didn't pick Plain Jane. My goodness gracious. Just before he was about to choose one of the dark-haired women, the young lady's fairy godmother performed a miracle, and she turned into the woman the prince had fallen in love with at the ball. Not only did she look like a dreamboat, but she began walking and talking with more self-assurance. The prince immediately chose her as his princess because he recognized her. And this is the person that he had fallen in love with. I know, it's exciting, isn't it? Well, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. However, the fairy godmother was a bit of a trickster, and just as the prince was saying his final adieus, the fairy godmother changed the young lady back into what she looked like before the miraculous transformation. The fairy godmother then cussed the prince out for being so superficial and not recognizing her for her inner beauty instead of her outward appearance. The prince replied that he would have seen through her appearance if she had acted the same way she had at the ball. So the whole point is, she wasn't acting the same. We do the same thing. We do it all the time. We act differently when we're in different situations. If you're in a classroom, you probably act one way. At home, you're probably not the same. You probably act different. And when you're with your friends, you may act goofy. Does anybody act goofy when they're with their friends? I don't have any friends, but if I did, I would probably act differently. I've got a friend. Marius is my friend. He'll talk to me sometimes. Not very often, but sometimes he will. Marius is kind of fun. He's okay. So we act differently in different situations. Right? When you're in Gallup or when you're in Albuquerque or when you're in Phoenix, do you act the same as you do on the reservation? Are you a little bit more aware of what's going on around you? Are the people not as friendly off the reservation as on the reservation? Do people act differently in Chin Lee than they do in Gallup? And who are those Indians in Gallup anyway? Are they all Navajo? They aren't? How do you know? Can you tell? How can you tell? When I go to Walmart, I'm wondering who's running into me with that cart. Bam! Hate Walmart. How do you know?
You can just tell, it's just like how you mentioned, ask those questions about how do you know the difference between people here and there. Like if you've gone throughout the reservation, you'll know how people look. And they just look different.
They look different?
They look different on that side of the mountain. There's actually a boundary line here between this mountain,
Right.
New Mexico, Navajos.
So the people in Shiprock look different than the people in...
Yeah, because some of them look like Mexicans. That's a lot of us, essential agencies say that we're moving from the actually direct pure bloodline. Navajo history.
They're not?
And they're more Mexican on that side.
Do you know Jerry Kine?
Yeah.
Okay. Jerry's from Thoreau? What's not
The room.
Thoreau? Is that how they pronounce it?
Yeah.
He's from Thoreau.
If you actually look at their facial structure, their hair, it's all, some of them have mustaches and beards that we do out here.
But theirs are thinner. I saw a guy at Chin Lee the other day with a long beard like a, ZZ Top, Okay.
And you have
I
the
was
Zuni
thinking.
as well too. The Zuni and the Pueblos on that side, so some of them migrate.
And they have more hair than...
No,
No.
the Zuni are much shorter than we are.
Yeah. Squatter?
Yeah,
Fatter?
yeah.
I'm
yeah,
sorry. Wider?
Yeah. And then you
We can
have,
definitely tell the Athabascan and the Pueblos apart. For sure.
They're rounder.
Well, I think the Pueblos come more from the
Oh, shit.
Sioux lineage.
Tell me what this guy is.
But the Athabascans, they do look a little different.
He looks like
Taller?
a big A. Just kidding.
More slender?
Not as
Yeah.
dark, Athabascans
Nez.
aren't as dark.
Aren't as dark. Okay. So they're darker. Okay.
I think it's just like when I go to Gallup, I hear the dialect of Zuni,
Okay.
Like, I just listen to the voices or the language. When I hear like Navajo language, I'm like, oh, okay, that's Navajo. Their Zuni, they use their nasal more.
More nasal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Styles are a little different.
Styles are-
Smile?
Yeah.
Style,
Style?
yeah.
You guys wear a lot of black. I don't. They don't. I don't know. I'm in green today, so there you go. I got my turquoise. I bought this yesterday.
Then you can tell too, like when a Navajo meets another Navajo, the contact, the vibe that they have towards each other, you can tell that.
Just tell the vibe.
Yeah.
Not on the reservation though. If you're off the reservation, you're surrounded by like a bunch of like white people or different ethnicities.
Yeah.
They're way nicer to each other. Like, oh hey.
Oh, okay.
When
but
you're
on the-
here, when you're here, it's different.
That's
it's
funny.
like
So they're not as nice on the reservation as they are off the reservation.
that's what I just noticed.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering.
Well,
So-
there's a difference between Gallup Walmart and Snowflake Walmart or Taylor.
Snowflake.
Over there, it's kind of racist, like certain places.
Snowflake?
Mhm.
I've been to Snowflake. Is there a Walmart in Snowflake?
Not Snowflake, Taylor.
Taylor.
And Taylor.
Okay. There aren't any.
Mhm.
Marius is like the only one.
I know, I saw him in Walmart over
Is
there.
that right?
Oh, I know you. It's all late at night.
Do you have his kids with him?
No, just him and my wife.
He's funny when he's with his
But there's
kids.
a difference, like, over at Gallup, it's like, I don't know, dirtier, but people are kind of a little nicer. And then over in Taylor, it's cleaner, lot more nicer stuff, but
Right.
the people, they like, just because you're brown, they check your receipt. And like,
Oh,
they'll
really?
stop you in the front, like, hey, let me check your bag. But there's a white person in front of you, and you're just like, how come you didn't check your receipt?
I'll have to admit, nobody ever checks my receipt.
And they say, oh, it's randomly checked. I'm like,
Just happens to be all
every
the
other
brown
Navajo.
So people, the whole point is people act differently when they're dressed, when they're someplace familiar, or when they're someplace not, where they're not familiar. When I was in Vietnam, when I was in Japan, when I was in Korea, when I was in Germany, I was around people that weren't like me. Of course, if you're in Germany, how can they tell the difference between an American and a German?
I'm pretty sure you can tell, but you gotta ask someone who's from Germany. They'll probably notice a lot. So I don't
Germans
know.
dress in really dark clothes.
You can tell by mannerisms.
Yeah, that's another one. And we write our numbers too. They do everything, they do a lot of stuff with their left hand. If you're right-handed and you're American, you do almost everything with your right hand.
I saw this movie before where they're American spies in Germany, and he did something. He did this, I
Oh,
think,
okay.
and then here he wanted to say 3, and you're supposed to do this.
Yeah, exactly. I do
So he knew he was an American
Exactly.
by doing that.
Yeah, because he held up 3 fingers.
Yeah.
They also eat with their left hand. They eat and with their fork upside down in Germany. As weird as that sounds, I know. So they always feed themselves with their left hand, even if they're right-handed. And they will fork something with the fork upside down instead of. I know, it's weird. They are so strange. They are so different. And all of their clothes are this color. It's like olive drab. They think the war's going to start again like tomorrow afternoon. So they're all in camouflage. It's really kind of weird. Of course, I was there in the 80s and 90s, so maybe things have changed. Maybe they have started. You could tell if somebody was from France. The French wear red. They wear yellow. They wear green, bright greens. Germans never wear anything bright ever. It's like every day is a depressed day or something. It's really kind of weird.
You think it's because they weren't forced to eat with their right hand? Because my daughter, she's 2 years old and she uses her left hand to eat.
She left-handed.
No, but she's right-handed.
She's right-handed with everything
I
else, but she eats
noticed
with her left
With
hand.
little kids, they eat with their left hand. But it's us as parents, we tell them to eat with their right hand.
Why would you do that?
I don't know, I was always kind of, or,
You eat with your left hand?
No, let's say in Iraq, a lot of people, they eat with their left as well. And,
Hand they wipe what?
yeah, that's why. And it's offensive to use your right,
Right.
to offer your right hand because that's supposedly the hand you use to.
No, it's the left.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you try to shake hands left-handed, it's like,
Or if you wave goodbye to somebody.
you have to wave with your right hand, if you wave with your left hand, it's exactly.
I'll eat with my left side, maybe stand.
You hold your fork upside
Yeah,
down?
no. I only eat with my left side when I stand.
Oh, holding it down,
Yeah.
cutting it with your right,
Otherwise,
shoveling it in with your left. Okay.
yeah, that makes sense.
Weird.
Come on.
This is all social psychology. Let me check on the time. How we doing? Okay, we've got 18 minutes. We're good. Okay, so it's everything's situational, isn't it? If you're at a conference, you're not probably going to use any swear words. I'm not supposed to use swear words. If I'm at a conference, and I probably won't because I'm around all these people that think that you shouldn't swear. It's really kind of interesting. I went to a conference up in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is Canada. Are the Canadians the same as us?
no,
Ain't at all.
they say hey a lot.
Besides their language, are they like us? I was shocked. I was really surprised. You know, Sarah Kine is. She's Canadian. She's actually from. All of her family lives in British Columbia.
Actually, yeah, they are. A lot of them
Yeah.
adapted to the American.
Because they watch American television. Have you ever watched Canadian comedy shows? You know why? Because there aren't any, okay? They are the least funny people in the whole wide world. They have no comedies. It's just really kind of strange. I've been trying to find a good German novel that shows what the Germans are like. I can't find it. It's the oddest thing in the world. Are the Canadians different from us? Yeah, their educational system is completely different. They're very competitive people. If you've got a Canadian on an athletic field, be careful. That guy will take you out. It's happened to me a couple times. The Canadians are very, very competitive people. They play to win. They don't care how it happens. Yes, sir.
I find that there's a big difference between Eastern and Western Canada too.
That's true. That's very true. Kind of like northern and southern China. The people in the north eat wheat, and the people in the south eat rice. And it takes a lot more manpower to grow rice than it does to grow wheat. You want to grow wheat, you just throw the seeds out there, it grows, you harvest it, and you're all done. It takes one guy. Rice, they flood the rice paddies, they got to plant the rice seed. They need the water at the right time for it to weird. So the people in the south, in southern China, are far more collectivistic than the people in the north. They're far more individualistic. So the people in the north will come up and get in your face and tell you what to do. But the people in the south won't do that. As weird as that is. They're both Chinese. They look the same, except they don't look the same. They know the difference, but we can't tell the difference. Yes, sir, you were going to say something.
I was going to say there, the Eastern Canada has more of a French influence and Western Canada has more of an English influence.
Isn't that weird? Western Canadians won't speak French. It's almost like an insult. It's weird because the French Canadian provinces, Montreal and Quebec. But everything in Canada is taught in both French and English. But in the West, they're very angry about it. They won't speak French at all.
You also have the not the nay, who are actually considered to be just like
Right.
animal
They're not the best. Speak almost the same language. They're called
people. Not the nay.
Nodine. That's it, right, Nodine. Interesting. Isn't that fascinating? But there's Athabascans that live up in Alaska too. Almost all the Indians that live in Alaska are Athabascan. So they speak a very similar language. There are Athabascans that live in California. The Hoopa. You ever heard of those guys? No? Okay.
Wouldn't that be the same as Navajos and Apaches? Apaches say that we speak broken Apache, and Navajos say that we speak broken Navajo.
Right.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Sure, yeah, it's the same. I know, how confusing is all of this. Is this important? How important is your tribe to you? Very. It's very important to everybody, right? Well, you can imagine it's very important to all the native tribes. Jean-Paul Sartre was a French philosopher who stated that we cannot be distinguished from our situations, for they form us and they decide our possibilities. So the environment that you grow up in has a lot to do with who you become. It has me. I come from a family of bums, okay? And it's really kind of sad. We have really high IQs, not all of us, some of us have normal IQs. But I have a family of a lot of very bright people, but we're very unaccomplished. And if you look at me, I'm a PhD, I'm an associate professor. There's like two of us. Almost the entire Diné studies are all full professors, but they're the only ones. And some of the guys in the student department. But what was I saying? So if you look at me, you think, oh, he's fairly accomplished. I had a sister that was a lawyer. All the other members of my family are bums. Bums. I have relatives who didn't make it past the 8th grade, despite their high IQs. You know, they are unaccomplished. So it all depends on your environment. And I come from a family that we have a hard time finishing things. It took me 11 years to finish my PhD. I finally finished my dissertation. It took me 11 years. It's a long time. I almost quit a bunch of times, but I'm married to a colonel, so I didn't really have much choice. The colonel made me do it, as she makes me do a lot of different things. Anyway, so it really all depends on your environment. I grew up in a fairly nice place with fairly nice people, but I have a brother that's never been able to hold down a job. He's got an IQ of 160. He can't hold down a job. Nobody wants to hire him. He's a pain in the ass. So nobody wants to hire him. So he didn't do jack squat. He kept bouncing from job to job all of his life. I have another brother that everybody loved him. He was president of his class. He had a fairly high IQ. Worked in low-level jobs all of his life. And the reason he did was because he was having such a good time. He was the Peter Principle. The Peter Principle, usually you are given a job that you can't do. They will give you a job that you can't do. Well, he wouldn't allow them to do that. He stayed in low-level jobs all of his life. I have a sister that all she did was make babies. That's all she did. Got an IQ of 135. All she did was make babies and raise those children all of her life, and watch television and crochet. That's it. She could have done anything she wanted, but she didn't do it. Anyway, so it all depends on the environment that you live in. You may come from a family where people don't do a whole lot. I did. Almost my entire family, strangely enough. I was the first male to graduate from college. In my family, the females go to college and they're fairly accomplished, but the males drop out of high school. They tar roofs and stupid things like that. Anyway. So it all depends on your environment. We are products of our environment. Herman Melville stated that our lives are connected by thousands of invisible threads. It is these invisible threads that social psychology tries to illuminate. 3 weeks ago, a young man shaved off all the hair on his, this is in Wisconsin, shaved off all the hair on his body. He went into a house and he killed the father and he killed the mother and he kidnapped the 13-year-old daughter. Now nobody knows why he knew that this family was there, but he went into a house, killed the mother, killed the father, and then he took the 13-year-old daughter and he took her to a cabin in the woods, out in the middle of nowhere. She escaped this weekend. He had held her for 3 weeks. What happened to her, I don't know. They're not talking about what happened to her. But why in the world would a 21-year-old man kidnap a 13-year-old daughter after murdering her mother and her father. Where did he come up with that? He had no criminal record whatsoever. Where did that come from? Why did he do it? 63-year-old man he buys a number of semi-automatic rifles, puts bump stocks on the suckers, transports 18,000 rounds of ammunition to the 36th floor of a casino in Las Vegas and starts popping away at the people at a concert down below. Wounds 700, killed 59. Why do you do that kind of stuff? He didn't have a criminal history. What in his environment made him do that?
Stress.
Perhaps is upbringing.
I'm sorry?
Perhaps his upbringing, the way his environment was at home.
Lived by himself. Stephanie, hi.
Hi. Which class is this one?
Social psych,
Social psych. Okay, and the next one's going to be,
health psychology.
okay, yeah, so it means so much I have to figure out.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want to take Emery with you? So the question is why? Why did he do it? He had no criminal background. He's 63 years old.
He lived alone, you said?
He had a girlfriend from the Philippines. And he bought her a house. Gave her $100,000, sent her to the Philippines to buy a house. That's a lot of money in the Philippines.
Maybe they had an issue.
We don't know. Why did the kid down in Florida, 19-year-old kid in Florida, why in the world did he pick up a automatic weapon and go into high school and kill 17 people? Headshots, they're all headshots. Why would he do that? Why would those two kids in Colorado, why in the world would they go into their high school and kill as many people, Cleveland parents? Why would they do that?
They were bullied.
They were being bullied, theoretically.
From like a really young age.
Right.
They had a lot of anger
There
with
you
their
go.
peers.
But this is something that we need to know. This has to do with social psychology. This has to be an answer because people keep picking up guns and shooting people. Not just one person, not people that they know. They're shooting people they don't know. The whole world becomes their enemies, strangely. Yes,
You know what's crazy is in the UK they really enacted a lot of gun laws, and their murder rate actually went up. People are now stabbing at a higher rate than.
Opioid addiction is killing more people than guns are in the United States. A lot of gun deaths in the United States.
But I just thought it was interesting because a lot of times people can feel detached if they use a weapon
Right.
because there's a distance.
Right.
But to use a knife to kill someone up close and personal, it's a lot different.
Different, yeah, you have to look
But
them in the eye.
then
You feel them dying.
yeah, it's a
You
lot
feel
more
the knife
personal.
going into their body.
So I just thought it would be, I thought the murder rate would go, not rate was going, but the laws being enacted, but it went up, so I was just thinking,
They've had really strict gun laws in England for a really long time. So, and even the police, I think they carry guns now, but they haven't in the past. As interesting as that is. So why do people do it is the question. Does it have to do with environment? Where do they come up with these ideas? Do we have any idea what people are experiencing now? When was the last time you were on the internet? Are you on the internet now?
Kind of.
Okay.
Their email.
Okay. When was the last time you played a video game? Last night, okay. When was the last time you played a video game? Have never played a video game? Have you ever been on the internet? Okay. Have you ever been on the internet?
Yeah.
Have you ever played a video game?
Yeah.
Okay. Last night?
No.
Last week?
Geez.
A year ago? Okay. You play video games?
Kind of.
Okay.
But it's different. I looked on the internet, I watch cat videos. When I play games, I'm killing Nazis.
Nazis.
So, zombie Nazis.
You know we have Nazis in the United States.
Yes, but I can't do anything about it.
When's the last time you played a video game?
A couple months ago.
Okay, that's not bad. Are you ever on the internet?
Yes.
Okay. You ever on the internet?
Sometimes when I'm with this,
When you're on campus. Do you ever play video games?
no, not in a long time.
No, a long, long time. Video games? Internet? Okay. You watch cat videos. Does that make you violent? Want to kill Nazis? Just curious. Okay. When you do play a video game, you're killing Nazis. What else are you killing? You played last night. Who were you killing? And
I was playing NBA.
Oh, basketball?
Why did you assume she was killing somebody?
Well, it's a video game.
She could have been playing Mario Kart for all you knew.
When was the last time you played Mario Kart?
Mario Kart,
Before it came out.
like last week on my little.
Oh, okay. Do you ever kill anybody on your video games?
Well, actually, I do.
This is
play-
this is
I
important.
do play Call of Duty games.
Call of Duty?
Yeah,
And you
so-
kill, who you're killing?
Um,
Nazis?
well, I'm on Kriegsspetsnaz.
So you're German killing Americans?
I
Brits?
guess it assigns me on its own. I don't choose it.
Yes, sir.
I think one of the things, I mean, if you look at
Look at you.
people killing people, I think there's one commonality, even though like there's going to war, mashing in the fence, there's murder, there's self-defense, there's a lot of different things, but I think one of the things, a thread that runs common through all of them is a disconnect socially. And I've read a lot of places where people have talked to people that were going to murder them and made a connection, and the person wasn't able to
Kill them because they felt too close.
Yeah, so it's always that social disconnect.
Yeah, actually. do.
And soldiers do that too.
They separate themselves
Yeah,
from
they separate
society.
themselves from it.
Yeah, they start calling people by funny names, by names that aren't very complimentary.
Like in Japan, they call them, their World War II nips, different things, Japs and Jerry's, they call Germans Jerry's.
Sure.
They disconnected themselves socially so that they made it acceptable for themselves.
You don't want to kill your brother. You want to kill Nazis. You're killing the political structure. We were killing commies in Vietnam. We killed commies. We didn't kill Vietnamese. Well, we did. We killed Charlie. Not Charlie Sheen, but Charlie. Victor Charlie. We called the VC Victor Charlie. So we killed Charlie. We were killing Charlie. We weren't killing our brothers. We weren't killing anybody that was anything like us.
I actually play video games on my phone, so I don't know about all that.
Oh, you don't get to kill anybody on the
Yeah.
phone. That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Candy Crush? You know
Yeah.
any Candy Crushers?
Stuff
I
like
play
that,
Candy
yeah.
Crush.
That's what
I
my
think-
sister plays,
I
my
think
idiot sister.
We're the few people that still play it.
What, Candy Crush?
Yeah. I have an archery game, like an app.
Does it help you?
I don't
With
know.
your archery?
It brings up, I don't know, my ego, I guess. Like, I
Okay.
shoot 10, and I do shoot, and I shoot 10, I still get that feeling.
Right.
I want to shoot more.
I like playing Angry Birds.
Angry Bird?
Yeah.
I can figure that one out. Is it time? Is it time? Yeah, close enough. Why don't we stop right here? We'll pick this up next time. I didn't get very far into the lecture. Next time I won't attack you about your